Hi everyone, this is Pan from Bluebird Corner, the Cardiff City Fans podcast. Please subscribe to the channel for free. In the month of July, you'll be entered in a draw to win a £250 gift card, courtesy of our sponsors, Top Tier Cleaning. We did it on our launch last month. It was a big success. We've had nearly 12,000 views already in such a short space of time. So as I said, it's free to subscribe. Any new subscribers will be in that draw, which we'll do at the end of July. So, obviously, there's a few things to talk about. First of all, obviously, I mentioned in a previous pod about Danny Ward being a good signing for City. Unfortunately, he has signed for Wrexham. My understanding is he's gone in as a number 2, which I think is more of a reflection on Danny Ward. Wages of 10 to 12,000 with extra money for appearances. So, yeah, that's gone by the by. Rumours about Gareth Bale's takeover. I haven't done a podcast on it because realistically, nothing's really happened. I did indicate that Tan would not sell unless he had an astronomical bid. Some other podcasters have reported 85 million, which is absolutely ridiculous in League One. And someone else has reported that in a national newspaper of 40 million, which is probably more realistic for League One. But there's no way in a million years that Tan would budge on and sell at that value, unless, of course, all the debts were with it as well. And we know the debts are quite high. But yeah, tonight I wanted to talk about Cardiff City as a football club going into this season and where we stand in terms of support for the club. Like myself, I've signed up for a season ticket. We're on course to sell 12,000 season ticket sales this year. And I wanted to just sort of talk about where we stand in terms of other League One clubs and really are we, a big club for League One. So as things stand at the moment, as I said, we're on course for 12,000. I've been speaking to podcasters for other clubs in League One, and indications are that Bradford City are going to sell 18,500 season tickets, even more than that, going into this League One campaign, which is fantastic. That's partly due to their ownership doing fantastically well with their pricing. They were getting some fantastic gates in League Two, 20,000 plus. And, that stadium is going to be rocking from August onwards when they kick off in League One. And then you look at other teams like Huddersfield. Again, I've spoken to a couple of podcasters from Huddersfield who they've indicated they're on track to be 14,500. They had a really disappointing season on the pitch, but off the pitch, there's a lot of loyalty there in that area. It's not a big town, but that would be some really decent season ticket sales. Then you've got Bolton Wanderers. Bolton stadium, not much smaller than ourselves, about 28,000. They were getting regular crowds, 22, 23,000 last season. Disappointed, obviously, that they didn't get in the playoffs. A few Welsh lads in the squad. They've added already with Dolby signing from Wrexham. Did really well in Scotland with 15 goals. So that's a decent signing. So they'll be there and thereabouts in the playoffs. And they're on track for 15,000 plus season ticket sales. Then you've got Plymouth Argyle, as City fans know, who've gone down to their ground. Fantastic little stadium. They're on track for 13,500 season ticket sales. And what I've been told by some of their local podcasters are that they've got a 5,000 to 6,000 waiting list for season tickets. Incredible support down there, home park. A real great loyalty there, fan base. Really get behind the club. And I think, the atmosphere there is probably going to be one of the best, along with Bradford, if City fans travel to those grounds next season. So then you've got Cardiff City, and that, as things stand, it looks like we will be the 5th highest season ticket seller in League One, which is disappointing. And I'm not saying obviously a lot of fans, there's a reason as well. Some fans haven't maybe renewed. Obviously there's that feeling of going down to League One. But more importantly, I think it's more to do with Tan being there for such a long time. It's very unusual to have ownership for that period of time of 15 years, let's be honest. And I think there's a love-hate relationship. Obviously he is the owner of the club. He's putting his money where his mouth is. It's easy to criticise someone, but at the same time, he hasn't been turning up for games. He has been trying to sell the club. That's obvious for the last 18 months, I think, but he's getting the right value. A lot of stuff off the field going on with Salah, Case, etc., which is probably going to end in November this year. And I think there's some apathy from some fans. We know some Cardiff City fans can be fickle, especially our older fans who've been there in the 80s when we've been getting 2000 plus. And the new stadium has attracted a load of different types of fans, more ladies going down, more children. But in saying that, the family stand, I have to say, is empty at most City games. It's not good enough. I mean, other clubs like Aberdeen have done an incredible job with attracting younger fans. And we all know, we've all started to watch City probably from a certain young age. I was 10 when I was taken down by my granddad. But really, City should be doing a lot more. I mean, we know that South Wales is primarily a Liverpool supported city or area. You've got Manchester United fans, etc. They're probably the two biggest supported clubs in Cardiff, which is sad to say. And this happens in most cities up and down the country, especially with the exposure on Sky Sports, etc. But, Cardiff City should be doing a lot more to attract the younger fans. And yes, parents maybe Liverpool, Man United fans, but if we can attract their children to games, they'll come down, and if the child loves coming down, they've got making an experience for them, before you know it, they're getting season tickets, and even the dad or the mum who's a Liverpool, Man United fan or Arsenal, etc., are happy to bring their kids or child down. And that all helps, in terms of having that family stand. It's always, no more than a quarter full. You got the Canton is always full, which provides the atmosphere. We need that full as well. We need the future fans coming, and we all know normally once you've come down a few games as a youngster, you get hooked, and you're a fan for life. So City need to do a lot more with attracting younger fans. There's no question about that. Talking about the red seats, I mean, I'd love it if they were changed to blue, yellow, and white. I can't imagine it being that expensive, but why can't we do that to make it more like a Cardiff City stadium? We know the seats were added for the Super Cup, which I went to a few years ago. But at the same time, why they can't be our colours, I do not know. And that's something that makes it feel a bit more like our stadium. And also, I was going to say about the Cardiff City flags. I mean, we all remember the playoff final at the Millennium Stadium. There was absolutely hundreds and hundreds of flags out that day. And I would estimate that probably the City fans, you're talking 200 to 300 flags at least City fans have. Why don't the club encourage fans to bring them down to the stadium beginning of the season, register the flag, and we can get that out next to 118 and put them out for the season, really, to give that, give it just help the whole feel of the atmosphere, the look inside the stadium on match day. I just think it would add to the occasion. And also, when we look at the stadium, obviously we know we've got the biggest stadium, 33,000 plus, but we are going to be, believe it or not, as it stands, it looks like we're going to be the 18th lowest stadium for fans to capacity percentage. So that is the amount of fans turning up on average to the stadium size. And even if you look at clubs like Bolton, who've got similar size stadiums to City, that really their percentage is going to be way higher, probably in the 60s, and we'll be lucky if ours is, well, I would put a bet on that it's going to be around 45 to 48% of fans going into capacity percentage average, which is pretty poor. I mean, I appreciate a lot of these League One clubs have got 8, 10, 12,000 seat stadiums, so they're more likely to have better averages there. But as I said, a lot of the bigger clubs like the Huddersfields, the Boltons, they'll have much higher percentages than we will. So, again, these cities, most of these cities in or towns in League One are much smaller than Cardiff. You're talking, 380, 400,000 people in the city of Cardiff, and the outer area, you're looking at nearly 1 million people. So we should be getting really 20,000 crowds this season. But I really think, and I appreciate there's 15 northernish clubs in the league. Then you've got your likes of your Peterboroughs and clubs like that. So there aren't many near clubs that are near, I think, our so-called derby, well, Boxing Day games, Exeter. Reading is probably the closest. So, geographically, we're not going to be getting as many away fans. Your Bradfords and Plymouth will travel down, no question about that. Reading possibly. But most clubs up north will probably be bringing 500 max. When we were used to getting 2,500 from the Championship away teams coming down, bringing the fans. So that sort of helped our average to nearly 20,000. Without that, we'd have probably been more like 17.5. And I've just got a feeling that we'd be lucky if we do average 16,000 this season. And I know it depends on how we perform, but realistically, we're selling a lot of players, we're getting rid of a lot of players. Definitely, a lot of players gone out of contract. And we really need to see some signings and some decent signings. There isn't going to be much money spent in this window, I doubt. We'll probably be looking at 4 or 5 loans and maybe 1 or 2 signs of younger players with potential to sell on for a higher fee. So, yeah, it's going to be really difficult for Brian Barry Murphy. I think, it's City fans will have a little bit of patience, but we're expecting to be one of the better teams in League One, I think. That's what the feeling I get from a lot of Cardiff City fans. We're not going to do a Birmingham, we know that, but we should be competing in the top 5 or 6 in this table. The likes of Stockport and Blackpool improve under Steve Bruce, Reading under new ownership, and as I said, with Luton probably being favourites, with Plymouth be very hard to beat at home. Then you've got your Bradfords, your Huddersfields, your Boltons. There's a lot of competition for that top end. And, as I said, BBM, the manager, is going to have his work cut out from the get-go, really. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of things that Cardiff need to do over those next few weeks. We definitely need a defensive midfielder. We definitely need an attacking midfielder. I would say a couple of full-backs as well. I still think one of the goalkeepers should go, and we should get a replacement, a better number 1, in my view. And 5-6 players coming in of decent quality or decent pedigree that will really help us. So, yeah, I just wanted to say that this season, we hope, obviously, we are competitive. And but I said Cardiff City need to do a lot more attracting new fans. It'd be good to hear what you think, any ideas you have. What do you think in terms of season ticket sales? Do you think we'll get over 12,000? And we'll look forward to seeing you soon. Take care.